That's right. You could be in the Hall of Fame and the world will know your name. Good evening and welcome to Personality Profile here on Joy 99.7 FM. I look forward to moments like this when, after work you can sit down and listen to great conversations about people who are really doing amazing things here in this country. And of course, I have a lineup for you this year, including my guest tonight, who's a very young, dynamic man who's in service of this country. And look, you will get to know how affable he is in the next hour. So welcome along. I'm Lexis Bill. Of course, you can share with your friends and family that this conversation is live. We have our video on Facebook that is streaming live and on YouTube as well. You can actually join in if you want to watch and not just listen. And you'd love my guest. He's a great guy. Yes, he's a young, dynamic, hardworking politician who has already etched his name in Ghana's Book of Governance and Public Service. Yeah, he actually epitomizes the phrase, a man of the people. Yeah, always very humble and loves to connect to the grassroots. In fact, he thrives more on the energy of the people, and you'd always love him when you're in his company. He's a dedicated legislator and a public servant committed to transparent governance, economic development, and community empowerment. He was a member of the 8th Parliament, and it seems he passed with distinction. So now he's gotten his ticket to the 9th Parliament as well. And in the 8th Parliament of Ghana, he actually served as a deputy ranking member of the Public Accounts Committee, critical in ensuring accountability in government expenditures. He was also a member of the Trades, Industry and Tourism Committee and the Works and Housing Committee. He served on the TDC Board of Directors and as a Volta River Authority Resettlement Trust Fund trustee. He holds an LLM in IT law from the University of Ghana and LLB from the University of London and an MPhil in Digital Built Environment from the University of Johannesburg. He also earned a BSc in Laboratory Technology from the University of Cape Coast, and he's still learning. In fact, there are a few other things that he's done. He will tell us about it a bit later. Member of Parliament for Mpraeso Constituency, Honorable Davis Ansah Opoku, and I'm sure everybody affectionately calls him OPK.
Yeah, Lexis.
My brother, how
Charlie,
are you?
bro, I'm doing well.
So good to see you, man.
Charlie. In fact, I was just wondering, so one day when I'm not there, would this be my tribute?
Well, if it is, it's going to be a good one, isn't it?
It sounds well. It sounds good.
Really good,
It sounds good.
You've done well, especially in politics in a very, very, very short time, hasn't it?
Yes. First, I think we need to give God all the glory. I really do not go without the God factor because it's not been easy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine 276 members of parliament in Ghana? Out of over 30 million Ghanaians.
Yes.
And you're a member of that class. It's a privilege. And I always give it up to my constituents for always having that confidence in me.
Yeah.
And ensuring that I represent them in the August House. It's very humbling. If you look at where we started from and where we are now.
Would you say this is the most the highest part of your life, or the best thing that's happened to you?
Well, I'm young. I'm just 40, and so I think that it is the height of success. They say that life begins at 40,
right?
But I think that at age 40, I can say that at least.
You're beginning on a high pedestal.
Yes.
Wabobra.
Yes. Like this is a boy that grew up in a town called Adedempo, Accra Central, near Bukom.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah. We used to play along the Kole Lagoon. I remember one day my sister and I, we went to the beach with a lady who was staying with us. Just to fetch, those days you used to fetch sand to, as it were, clean your buckets, these 34 buckets and all of that with lime.
With lime.
Yeah, so we went there.
And ash.
And the lady said we could swim. Then we took off our clothes like this. Can you imagine? Within a short period, we could not find our clothes. And, we had to walk barely naked. I had to put on my sister's stuffs just to get home, and if I look back, it tells me that the God I serve has been very good to me.
Adedempo.
Yes, Adedempo. British Accra.
What were your parents into?
You know, I'm a Kwau. And so Kwau's, we love business. My father used to have a shop at Okanshi.
Okay.
My mother is still a seamstress. She sews,
Oh, okay.
though she's now out of the country. My father, at a point, had to travel out due to some difficult moments in our lives. He went to the U.S. Did all manner of jobs. You know, those days, if you don't have certificate and you get to the U.S., then at a point he ended up as a taxi driver, and that is what we fed on. Went to school, and did everything. And I think that I just want to say a big thank you to my parents, because despite all the difficulties, family challenges, and everything that we went through, the Lord showed mercy, and they never departed from looking after their kids. And I'm happy. I'm the first of 7, though two.
First of 7?
Yes, 2 are no more. I think that we are all doing well, and I'm always excited about it when I look back.
Was it Ado's being the firstborn?
Well, was it?
Was it a difficult task being
it is.
Firstborn? I'm a firstborn too, so I can relate to some extent.
It is. Sometimes I always thank God. So at a point, my father had to take a decision to, take us all to the U.S.
Oh, okay.
And I was the first, so certainly it had started the processing for me. At a point in the university, I met some good friends, and then this whole abrogate thing suddenly vanished, and we were into student politics then. When I got to the university, I was quite a stubborn person. Everybody who knows me in UCC would tell you that if you come to ATL, all the exciting things that go on in ATL,
you
OPK,
were at the center of it.
as a member of the various choirs on campus.
Oh, I see.
And all of that.
The white and the black choirs.
Oh, yeah. Until I met a good friend. He was my senior, though. He was my senior during our elementary school days, Harold Boatin.
Okay.
Who introduced me to the Nooks circles. Then later I became a TESCOM president, developed interest in politics.
Okay.
Then on and on and on. And
so
today,
that's how you developed interest in politics?
Yes. So Harold I started moving with Harold. He was the Nooks president, so you go with him more like his guy sort of.
Yeah.
And he was my senior, so I was so excited when I got to UCC and I realized that this is Harold. He was he was the SP in JSS Ansah Road. So when I met him, I certainly knew that this is a guy who has the potential. So
where's he now?
He is the board secretary for the National Health Insurance Authority.
Oh, right.
Yes, the last time we were together. We are always together. Yeah. He's my best friend. He's a brother.
Yeah.
He was my best man when I was getting married.
Wow.
I became his best man. And I think that it shaped my life a lot. And I think I've also done same. For me, that is the essence of friendship. So I always advise people, you need to have friends.
Yeah. So the whole plan to take you out of Ghana,
yes,
by your parents,
yes,
this is what thwarted it. This is what
the politics.
Ended it.
Yes.
So what did you tell your parents?
Well, then my father had a plan of picking myself and my sister. The one who comes next after me. So then I told him that, okay, instead of me, let Ben go. Then you process Ben. He said that, no, I need you to come and work so that you look after family and all that. I said, okay. Then let Erica go. Erica will go until all my siblings ended up in the U.S. Then I was here in Ghana, struggling through the mills. I think that because can you imagine if I were in the U.S. and my siblings were here? Every month I had to send money back home to cater for them. But now they do. Sometimes they send me money.
They send you money.
Sometimes when I'm going for primaries and elections, they put their heads together, bring some fat dollars just to support Big Brother. In his adventure. And I think it's worked a lot.
But at the time, how did your father feel about all this rebellion, if you can call it that way?
Well, I think at the point it was becoming uncomfortable, but um, during my days in the university, so I got opportunity to be TESCOM president.
Okay.
Then I think he would be there and people would be sending him images of me on national platforms. I remember when the MPP wanted to adore President Akufo-Addo at Kaswa. Then campaign manager Dr. Konadu Opoku wanted to select a young person to speak for and on behalf of the young people of this country. Then we had TESCOM Presidents Association sort of. So they quizzed around, they contacted former presidents, and everybody said that, oh, it has to be OPK. Oh, it has to be OPK. OPK can fire this. And I remember that I've not seen a rally of the MPP well attended like the Kaswa rally. Remember when I got to the stage, I mean, got frightened, but I had to do the do. I mean, I had friends like Pius on the stage telling me, don't look at the people, look up. And of course, when your parents see these things, they become excited.
Yeah,
so they were like, hey, Charlie, Munjaino, leave him, let him do his stuff in Ghana.
Yeah.
And all of that. Then we began this whole AFAG thing. You be organizing press conferences, putting pressure on government and all of that. And for me, pressure groups is one thing that we need to encourage in a political system. I mean, people telling government that the path that you have taken is wrong, you need to toe a certain line and all of that. We were doing that with AFAG. Then I ended up with Kwabena Japan as his executive assistant. Then we got sacked from the party office. I don't know if you heard that story. This is all Opoku, Kwabena Japan.
Oh, right,
I mean, I was in the middle of that.
Okay.
So that period was a bit tough for me. In fact, that time, if I had gotten the opportunity to travel,
you would have.
I would have done that because they were tough moments for me. But
in what ways?
Well, so it was like the whole system was against you because these are your bosses, these are people that you work for. And today, I've seen attempts by the NDC to justify some actions that are going on. For instance, people are being laid off and all of that. And there's this music of a tit for tat that is, I mean, rhyming all around the country and all of that. I think it's real. For instance, when the MPP won power in 2016, then President Akufo-Addo was installed in 2017. I had the privilege of being employed as an officer at NHI. I remember the whole system came at me. No, this guy, we cannot work with him. He needs to stop. And I virtually had to come and sit home doing nothing. An MPP person, former TESCOM president, led AFAG demonstrations, done all of this. And what I went through, but for some friends and people who held me together, people like Brian the Champon and all of that who came to my support, it would have been a difficult moment for me. And so that is why I've advocated and I'm begging the president that these young ones that have been employed, yes, maybe they were employed during a particular political time period that people did not need to do that. But we are pleading with him to consider their plights. Because when they go home, I'm wondering, how they will survive. Many of these young people are relying heavily on the employment that they have gained. Their families are relying on it and all of that. Yesterday, a young lady called me. A young lady that had convinced heavily to vote for MPP. But she said, no, she's not going to do that. This is a first-time voter. She's completed university, then got employed alongside, just after the December 7th election. But this is a girl who voted for the NDC. Today she's being laid off. And she's crying. The party that I voted for and all of that. Because the persons that are in there, those young guys that you don't even know where they voted. Don't even know their voting pattern.
Right.
And it happened during the MPP time. It happened during the MPP time. I remember at the NHI, they did a similar thing. And so if you are doing it now, there may be justification for it. But I'm saying that in the spirit of resetting Ghana, at the point we need to truncate that process and allow the civil service to be devoid of partisanship and allow people to work.
Well, but isn't this plea that you're giving to John Mahama going to encourage the practice
Well, no,
where governments, when they know they are leaving power, will just want to employ people. I mean, the assumption is that
what we
these
need
are
to
members of MPP,
what
even though maybe there might be outliers and whatnot. But don't you think this is going to encourage that practice, which
what
really is not the best?
what it tells me is that there's a lacuna. I mean, there's a big space in there, something that needs quickly to be filled. I mean, we have a transition act. Maybe the transition act, as we have it now, do not really address those challenges. Immediately, there should be an amendment of the act to ensure that immediately after every general election, no state institution should employ. Then it becomes a law. But at this point, the argument is that it's against good practices and good governance and all of that. I mean, I'm just
But you
pleading with
agree
them.
that makes sense?
Well, that people should be laid off.
No, that it is against good governance.
I really don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, if you look at the law that establishes the civil service, the civil service should be devoid of partisanship. Now, you cannot truncate somebody's employment by virtue of the fact that he was employed in a particular time, legally. The person is legally employed. I mean, December 7th to December to January 6th, we still had a president who had the mandate to govern. And so if state institutions are employing, and I'm not, see, sometimes for people to be employed in December, it meant that they started the process somewhere in October, because you have to go and sometimes write exam, you wait for results, you need to go through a certain police police background checks and all of that. And so, I mean, I'm not here to justify and to say and to heavily condemn what is going on. It's just a plea.
Okay. I mean, I don't want us to delve too much
Yeah, of
into
course,
it because
but
you have a story to
course.
tell about the challenges that you encountered around the time that you
Charlie,
you
it
were
was
stopped
tough.
from
It was
engaging
tough,
in-
and
Yeah.
it is out of that experience that I'm begging the president, because
Okay.
can you imagine a young boy around that time? I was in my 20s or 30s. I mean, I had just gotten married, and I mean, how to even survive as a family was a problem.
Those were tough times then.
It was, Lexis. It was.
How bad did it get?
I mean, I really don't want to, but I remember I had to even go to Jubilee House and even beg. I went to the extent of going to the Jubilee House to beg,
Wow.
but it felt on there. I don't want to talk about it,
Yeah.
but it's happened.
Yeah.
And that level of feeling, what I went through, I really don't want any young person to go through that ordeal. I was engaged in politicking. Maybe it was a form of punishment for me for some decisions that I had taken in times past. But these young ones especially, I mean, they have not been
Around
involved
that
in.
time, the things that you were doing, did it come with any regrets? Seeing as you went through tough times because of some of your decisions.
Well, some of them, yes. I mean, some of them, yes.
Like what?
But of course, I remember I met one elderly man, an MPP big, and a council member of the Council of Elders at Moving Peak. After a while, and he advised that OPK, I like you. You have the energy, but usually when the whole an assembly is moving towards a particular direction, you do not want to fight back. I mean, go with them. Sometimes stay at the back. When they begin falling in the pit, and they realize that what they are doing is wrong, then they can now come back and say that, oh, then this person said this, so let's go. But fighting them head on, I mean, so some of the things that we did were right, but maybe at that time was not the right time to do them.
Yeah. What are some of the lessons you picked from all that was going on at the time?
So like this, I've learned to leave my battles to God. I mean, I'm a tough guy, but it's not every battle that I engage in. No, you would see me. I mean, when I decide that I want to do something, I'm going to do it. But there's always a way out for me. We are all here to serve. But I can tell you that the next moment when I fall down and I'm no more, nobody's going to take off my family. So always family first. So it's about your family, how you're able to protect your family, and I think every other thing falls in line.
You emphasize the need for very good friendships and connections.
Yeah.
And I personally know how much you're an affable person. Your company is a very nice company. All the time.
I've invited you to call.
I am coming.
Oh yeah,
I am coming. Once we're done, we need to make that trip because I'd certainly love to be there.
Sure.
But you have some very good friends as well.
Yes.
I know. a little bit told me that you're very close to Ibrahim Mahama.
I am. I am very close to Ibrahim Mahama. I see Ibrahim as a big brother. Ibrahim and I have known each other for quite some time. But I think the height of it came when I had the accident in 2020. In 2020, February of 2020, I was involved in a near-fatal accident. Two of the people in my vehicle went into coma.
Wow.
Yes. I got both femurs broken, the left side shattered.
Wow.
And sometimes I need to say a big thank you to Dr. Ruben Giza of Ridge Hospital. We were just entering into the COVID period.
Mm-hmm.
So it was difficult for me to travel out. I remember some medical doctors came to me and said that, Charlie, this situation is bad. Because, within 2, 3, 4 hours, both legs were swollen heavily.
Wow.
What it meant was that I had lost some, there were some breakages in my nerves and all of that, so there was no proper blood flow. So they all get, assembled in a particular place around my thigh. So within a short time, they had to use scissors just to cut my trousers because you could not even pull my trousers.
Wow.
Those were, it was painful. And sometimes I thank God for friends. So I remember, when I gained some, Harold, my good friend, told me that he wants to tell me a story. And I said, Charlie, go ahead. Do you know that we had to rush home, take your passport, take the passport of your wife, take the passport of your mother, and Harold's passport, and that Ibrahim Mahama had volunteered that his private jet should be aired out of the country for medical reasons.
Oh, wow.
It's like, and the gentleman was ready to pay my entire bill. I was like, what really have I done to deserve this favor from? Because Ibrahim Mahama is a big man.
Yeah.
And to say that, this young boy who, at that point, I was not even a member of parliament and all of that, to get this favor from Ibrahim Mahama. So since then, I've seen him as a big brother. And Lexis, the interesting thing is that last year, I had to stay out of the country for 7 to 8 months because I needed to fix my... I had a lot of metals in my legs.
Yeah.
So I needed to fix them. So I went to Germany. I stayed in Munich for quite some time. And anytime Ibrahim gets to Munich, he'll come looking for me. He'll visit me. Sometimes he will be traveling around the country and he'll ask you, oh, PK, Charlie, where you there? I say, oh, Charlie, Baba, I Munich. So I come.
I see.
Sometimes I even have to travel to London because of in Munich, I really have no friends. But in London, you have people who come visit you. Your sisters will come and cook for you. You have all manner of people coming to you. Then you are, where you there? I'm in London. Okay, I'm coming to London. Then he'll come and visit you. We've had a very close relationship. It has nothing to do with politics. Mm-hmm. And it's not a relationship that I shy away from. I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud to see him as a big brother. I've got people who have done me good in life. For me, I don't shy away. Somebody like Brian Echampon. Brian was not my friend. He was really not my friend. I knew that Brian Echampon of MPP and all of that. But the favors that Brian has done to me in my political journey, they are huge. I'm always grateful to God for bringing such people in my life. I mean, we have lesser people, the Fifi Boafos, the Pius and Namajides. I mean, people who have contributed to my political life and contributed to who I am today. I always say thank you to them.
What does this and I'm going to ask it again because I'm quite curious about some of the lessons that we pick from these things and these interactions in that relationship with somebody like Ibrahim Mahama. What are some of the lessons that you pick from it? I mean, this is a very profound story about how you're not so close to him, but he just comes up, and it speaks to his person as well. Because in recent times, you'd hear news about some little kid who needs some surgery or some medical treatment outside, and he's willing to fund it. And
I think that what comes out in the media is less than 10% of what Ibrahim does. It's just less than 10%. I remember I have this friend of mine who gave birth, and the child could not talk. I informed Ibrahim about it, and to date, almost every year, the family, everybody tries to travel to South Africa for medicals. You will pay flight, you will pay hospital bills, give you money for your pocket, and all of that. And this is a friend that he knows nothing about. He is not his friend.
Yeah.
I mean, they became friends after my introduction, and all of that. And I think that is that kind of spirit that we need in Ghana. We seem too divisive. I mean, politics seem to be taking a greater part of our lives. Like this, we need to end it at a point. Happy persons we sat in the same class with, by virtue of the fact that some of them decide to go NDC and you decide to go to MP, and suddenly we become enemies. That should not be the case. For instance, when I entered Parliament, I mean, I was a very hot-headed person. At a point, I had to drive a whole. Of course, I was organizing presses, hitting people. Then, in fact, I remember when somebody voted and we had Speaker Bagbin as the Speaker of Parliament. Right. I was so mad, I was cursing people and all of that. But at the point, it turns out that Speaker Bagbin now becomes more like my father. He would invite me to his house. Sometimes very late at 10, 11 p.m. And he will be telling me about Parliament since 1992 and how he's come to meet it and how my politics should be sharpened and all of that. Telling me that the standing orders are my Bible, I should learn the Constitution of this country and have the confidence to argue on the floor of Parliament. It does not mean that if anybody does any wrong, I will not be able to say it. I will. And that, for me, has been that kind of spirit and principled positions that I've taken in life that is shaping me. Like this, no matter your age, no matter who you are, when you wrong me or you wrong society, I'm able to tell you that, boss, this one dear, you know, force.
Right.
And I think it's something that people also like about me. That when I tell you that it is good, it means that it is good.
Yeah.
I will not be hiding under politics. For instance, Brian Achampong, he can be picking ideas from plenty sources. But when it comes to me and I tell him that this is my position and this is what I think you should do, he listens to me. And despite what he's gone through in life, the blessings God has given him and all of that, for him to listen to me, especially when I close the door on him and I sit him down and we have discussions. That tells you the kind of heart they have and the grace that God has also given us. So that keeps us going, building friendship and ensuring that, I mean, friends become mutual. I mean, it's not just about somebody giving you money or giving you support, but if you don't have the money to give to the person, you should be able to tell the person that, hey, this thing that you did, this thing that you are saying, it is wrong. This thing that you did, this thing is the right. God bless you for it. And that's how life should be, Lexis.
Is there a moment that you can look back and say, at this point, I was so fulfilled with my life and what I have done in life?
Yes, I think that when I got married, I was so happy.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
interesting.
I have a very beautiful young wife, Anita. and we have 3 kids. And sometimes you go home late, you don't have time to meet the kids. Sometimes you go home very early. And for instance, I was in the house earlier 3 days ago, and my little girl, who is my Valentine, I mean, everybody knows. I mean, said that she wants me to tell her a story, and I had to tell stories around how they were bad and all of that, and they were all excited. Right. I mean, I sometimes give them nicknames. Yeah, this person is this, and they sometimes call me Opoku. I mean,
they do.
Oh yeah, I mean, my kids call me Opoku. I have a second son, Caleb. He's a quite stubborn child. Can come to you and tell you, Daddy, have you seen your stomach? Every day we are eating pork. You see your stomach. Harold is a bit. My first son is called Harold. I mean, I named him after my friend.
Your friend.
Yes. Yes,
that's nice.
So that I Charlie.
I mean, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so you need to send a message to your Valentine. I don't know whether you send that to your wife or to your daughter.
Sometimes I remember one day my wife sent me a video where I think they were going to the salon for maintenance, and my wife was like, "It's my husband, so you don't need to send me to. It's my daddy, so you go to your daddy." So I mean, I love them both.
Yeah.
And I'm always grateful to God for giving me such a family, quite an interesting family.
Let's talk about Mpraeso, your constituency. I don't know how easy or difficult it was to actually get that seat, well, circa 5 years ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How difficult or how easy was it?
It was difficult. I mean, I told you the challenges that I went through. I remember one day, I was driving home with my wife on a Saturday. Then we got to Achimota Shell, the old one. Then I think my wife was pregnant, so she had these cravings. She wanted to eat something from the mall. So I went in there. Then I saw this young man with about 5 guys following. So all the things that I bought, he said he would pay. I said, who is this guy saying that he will pay for my stuffs? That time I get some Corolla which a day inside which a chocolate. It turns out to be Bernard L. Bernard.
Okay.
You know him,
Yeah.
the prophet. That was the first time I met him.
Yeah.
Subsequently, we got connected. Then he told me that I should go and try Mpraeso, and that I'm the next MP from Mpraeso. Those were the difficult moments of my life.
That's
Charlie,
serious.
sometimes what boys go chop self, we no get. I did tell you.
And he just came up to you and said you should try for that seat.
Say, Charlie, said that I met you one day at this shop, and God said that we'll meet again, and told me I'd go. I remember. Then he said, I shouldn't worry about money. People will come my way with support. That time I had people coming my way with support and all of that. And money plays a critical role in this kind of enterprise that we are in. I always say that there are 3 M's to this game. You need some cash, you need some money, you need some good messaging, and you need to have a strong machinery on the ground. So I had the machinery. As for the messaging, I mean, it's been something that I have been engaged for a very long time. What was left was the money.
Yeah.
So I set off, Charlie, and all of that. And people brought support.
But prior to this meeting with Prophet L. Bernard,
Yes.
did you have plans of going for that seat?
Well,
or you were in politics?
Because
probably
I
just
was
to be in politics?
because I was engaged in politics. Certainly, I wanted to serve as a member of parliament. In fact, I had 2 routes: whether to enter parliament or to be a party leader. So like the youth organizer, national youth organizer, or bid organizer. And my friend Fifi Boavo will tell you that I will be a better national organizer. In fact, if he had his way, he would let me resign as a member of parliament and want to contest as the national organizer of the party. Then I was also involved in clote politics.
Okay.
But when the prophet came my way, and said that I should try this. Then I had one direction to go to Mpraeso, and God has been merciful. I mean, I believe in prophecy. I'm a spiritual person.
Have you always believed in prophecy?
Oh, yes. Yes,
you
believed
it more.
I'm a member
this?
of the Apostolic Church. We believe in prophecy. I mean, on a Sunday, God reveals Himself and speaks through people and all of that. So, but I had not encountered, this modern day prophecy where people tell you that this is what is going to happen, and it happens. Sometimes it turns out to be a written script, sort of.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, we hear the stories that, oh, this one, I knew about it. But this one, I had no connection with the gentleman. And boom, the thing just happened. And I remember 3 days to the election. No, a day to the election. I was so tensed. My first primaries. Tensed. And I think it was on the 29th of June, 2020. Yes. I was there around 12 a.m. Then the prophet called me and said, no, I know, you're worried. But if you like, don't give anybody anything. I've said you're going to win. And I won with over 70% of the votes against a big brother who was formidable, I mean, and all of that. So sometimes I believe in prophecy, I believe in the directions of God, and I know that God really works in our times.
Amazing story. I mean, you've got very interesting stories. Honestly, I mean, I've hosted many people, but your stories and your insights are quite endearing.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that we're getting to share it here. If you're just tuned in, this is Personality Profile, and I'm here with a Member of Parliament for the Mpraeso Constituency, Honorable Davis Ansah Opoku, OPK, and he's got a very amazing life story. So here's your first term in Parliament, the 8th Parliament at the time. Newbie, hot-headed, like you rightly said. How was the experience? And really, though, for your constituents as well, I just got a message from Steve from Intomim. Is that it? Intomim?
Yeah. Intomim,
okay. COPK has always been my man, but please remind him that his constituents in Intomim are still waiting for the arrival of electricity, so you have work to do.
I mean, it's,
if you're listening in and you want to send in a message, you can reach us on 055-1111-997.
Human needs are insatiable. Whatever, every time there are new things that come up, all of that. Intomim, in the last year, when I went there, they don't have electricity, they don't have network, they don't have good roads. As we speak, the roads are being constructed. When you get in Tomem, you have 4G, you're able to communicate with your people. And the electricity provision is some 60% complete. I mean, I'm just waiting on the ministry to deliver some LV poles, UV or LV poles and all of that.
So work is being done.
I mean, he is aware that work is currently ongoing.
Good.
And we are doing some good works in Intomim, not just in Intomim, but the entire constituency. I mean, you cannot answer all the needs in 4 years.
I can imagine.
You can't do all the needs in 4 years. You need to probably
continue. Why they give you another term.
Oh, Charlie, I'm sure they will give me another term and give me another term and give me another term.
But this particular term feels a little different, doesn't it?
It does.
Especially because, well, in your first term, it was your party that was in power.
Yes.
Everything has changed.
Yes. Everything has changed. But Lexis, if you're a member of parliament, you have your primary responsibility is to have an oversight over the executive. That has not changed. If you're a member of parliament, you need to represent your people in the August House, highlight their concerns. That has not changed. If you're a member of parliament, you need to look out for projects and programs that will be beneficial to your people. That, for me, has not changed. Of course, if you're in government, if your party is in government, you tend to get some opportunities, colleagues, ministers, you're able to talk to them and all of that. But like I always say, we all work with different grace. And the 4 years was good. And I'm believing God that the next 4 years of my tenure as the member of parliament will even be better.
Right.
Because for me, it's about the development of my people. In my constituency, John Mahama had some 10,000 votes. I'm not so sure you would want to cut off that 10,000 voters and say that because your MP is an MPP person, we won't mind you, we won't give you roads, we won't give you schools. I'll keep on reminding the president that he came to my place and made several promises. That he was going to put out the Adosu Bridge, that he was going to construct in Nkoko Sports Stadium, he was going to do the bombing to Nkoko roads and all of that. So I have a responsibility to remind the president, and I have a responsibility to ensure that, especially at the various committee stages, I bring forth the issues that are of importance to my people.
Okay.
We are purely about 70% of my constituents are engaged in farming. How am I able to improve on their farming? For instance, immediately the Minister of Energy was sworn in, I've put up a question. And today I got a message from Parliament saying that the question is being processed and that the Minister will soon come and answer. I want to find out how the Minister is going to support onion farmers in my constituency, so that they have reliable electricity to engage in all year round. Because the Water Lake runs through my constituency, the From River. And so if they have good electricity and able to engage in proper irrigation, then they can engage in, and Ghana imports over $100 million worth of onions every year from neighboring countries, from Niger, from Burkina, and all of that. When we have the land, we have water body that do not dry. All they need is irrigation. We need to step in there and make a case for them, construct their roads. The people of Adosu, Suboni, Nketepa, all of them, their roads ought to be constructed.
Okay. Did you see the loss of the NPP coming?
I did.
You did?
For me, my friends will tell you that I kept on telling them it was going to be a difficult election.
Why did you think that?
Well, the 8-year thing, works, and by virtue of the fact that I am how I relate. I have a base in airport. We call the fields. It's a whole container on its own. I have groups, members. I have a lot of social groups. And sometimes when you meet friends and the kind of things they tell you, I knew the election was going to be difficult. But I also knew the level of work that Dr. Bawumia had put in the campaign. So I was hoping for a miracle. I was hoping for a miracle. And that is why, for me, despite my challenges, my sickness and all of that, when I saw the energy that Dr. Bawumia brought into the campaign, I had to defy my doctors, telling me not to move out. And I went out with my crutches to campaign. In all the 26 electoral areas, went through the various towns to engage my constituents, to at least vote for the MPP. But it ends up that, that isn't the case. And I know that, the MPP will surely come back to power.
I know in the past couple of days, a lot of you have been engaging the grassroots and mobilizing the young people. Yes. I've seen some videos of events that have been going on in a bit to more like, reassure the youth and get them on board again. What message have you been telling them?
Well, I tell them that the MPP still continues the party we are better managers of Ghana's economy. The challenges we face in the previous election, coupled with sometimes some of our behavior.
What do you mean by behavior?
Oh, sometimes I think people became too comfortable at a point. People were too comfortable.
Complacent.
If you were a CEO and you had the opportunity of employing people in your place and you wait till after election, December 7th, and you're now employing people, well, we are marking all of them down. One day if the party comes to power, those people should come nowhere near power. Because if you have the opportunity to employ people, why wait till last minute? People acted as if the office that they held were family businesses. But and young people are out there, people looking for jobs. I'm very active on social media. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Snapchat, I'm on WhatsApp, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on X. And the messages that come to me, people wanting support, work, and all of that. Charlie, I think that some of the challenges, we caused it ourselves. We caused it ourselves.
I know in the past couple of days, a lot of people have been talking about efforts by this government to recover all loot. You were a part of AAG, AFAC.
Yeah.
You also, in most part, you had a role in exposing some alleged rots, with the alliance.
Yeah.
You were passionate about that.
Yeah.
It would seem to me you are happy about the NDC's attempt to recover all loot.
Well, it's important that we recover all loots. It's important that we do that. I mean, if it turns out that somebody somewhere, whether you are MPP or you are NDC, have embezzled funds, that person ought to be dealt with. It should not happen that because you belong to a certain political class, your case should be. But then there's a caveat. I mean, how we go about it also matters. So, for instance, I mean, I've seen this whole OSP on Kenny Furiata and all of that. Yes, if there's sufficient evidence that Kenny Furiata has done some wrongs and he needs to be arraigned before court, do that. But not when you are in talks with Kenny Furiata and he tells you that he's out for medical reasons. Then you come out and declare Kenny Furiata as a fugitive. If you say somebody is a fugitive, it means that the person has run from custody. You have arrested the person and the person found a way to run from custody. That for me is problematic. Then we are engaged in using propagandist strategies to smear people and all of that. I mean, let the rule of law work. The courts are there. I mean, I have always believed in the court system. Let the courts work. Let the courts work. Once the courts are working, we don't need to, because you see, if you look at chapter 5 of our constitution, it guarantees everybody's rights. It says that even the most criminal person that we have is innocent until proven guilty. Understand? And so sometimes some of the cases, you hear the cases and it will sound like an embezzlement. But when you go into the merits of the case, when you go into the details of the case, it turns out that that is not the case. I mean, people are just being victimized politically and all of that. There were some cases that, I mean, were going on. I won't mention some cases. And I kept on praying to God that these cases should be, because I knew that people were innocent.
Okay.
I sit on the Public Accounts Committee of Ghana's Parliament. There are some of the cases that come to us. You see that people just were not paying attention to the law. A lot of the infractions that come to us, sometimes it's not the case that somebody has embezzled money, but because it didn't go through a certain route. I mean, we have the Procurement Act, we have the Public Financial Management Act that governs how finances of state institutions to be used and all of that. Once you miss one, the auditors flag it, and you may have to come and face a committee that may humanize whatever has gone on and recommend to Parliament what ought to be done, the changes that ought to go on and all of that. So sometimes I'm a bit careful when people are being accused. I'm a bit careful when people are being accused. But that said, yeah.
Look, we could go on and on. There are a lot of things that I'd love to talk about. Unfortunately, we're almost running out of time.
Yeah.
But in all of this, what is the biggest lesson life in general has taught you?
Take it easy, man. I mean, in life, you just have to take it easy. Just believe in yourself, believe in your abilities, and above all, trust in God. I always say that make good friends.
Okay.
No, I'm not too sure. Yes, I believe in the God factor, but I'm not sure I would have gotten to where I am but for friends. Told you about how a certain friend of mine called myopia, I mean, convinced me to move from Okanshi, to drop my Okanshi mentality. You know, every call, you have to be carrying a Tiger head battery in Okanshi small. So we did all of that. So to the University of Cape Coast.
Yeah.
Then in the university, I met Harold and Pius and Samson, who shaped my life into politics. Then out of politics, I came and I was with Dr. Ifriye, Samuel Ku, Arnold, and the squad. Then at church, I had people like Danakwe, who has always been my mentor. I mean, if you ask me to mention my mentor, then his name is Danakwe. He's not political.
Yeah.
All of them shaped my life. And how, even in my difficult moments, I had friends like Ibrahim and Brian Echampon coming to my aid to support me and all of that. Make good friends, stay true to yourself, and be principled in life.
Wow.
That is what will take you far.
Perfect way to sum it up.
Charlie,
Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Lexis. Thank
You're
you.
amazing.
Thank you, bro.
I'm so happy that we got to have this conversation.
Charlie.
God bless you so much.
God bless you, my brother.
Open more doors for you.
Oh, sure.
The best is yet to come.
I tell you.
And we are definitely along with you. To support you.
Yeah. Thank
Honorable
you.
Davis.
And thank you for accepting my invitation to come to Kwahu.
Yes, I am coming.
Yes.
I'm coming. My hometown is not far from there, so
Charlie,
I'll be there.
No, I always say that Kwahu, we get the best of the good baby making weather.
I'll come with my wife.
My sister.
Yeah. My name is Lexis Bill. Thank you so much for spending time with us. It's 8 o'clock. Let's find out what's happening in news.